Glen Barrows International Pest Control provides a comprehensive approach for a pest-free environment for both residential and commercial clients. Our services include lawn spraying and fungus control services to ensure the safety of your family and pets, commercial pest and rodent control, pre-construction soil treatment, subterranean termite control, and tent fumigation. Call Glen Barrows International Pest Control at 465-2935 or 469-5294. Glen Barrows International Pest Control, setting new standards in pest control.
With news from across the Federation, spanning the region and covering the globe, this is the KyssFM SKN News Now Morning Edition, your one true source for news. And now your presenter.
Good morning. Today is Friday, the 17th of February 2017. I'm Ebony Brandon. This is the SKN News Now Morning Edition, brought to you by the Glen Barrow Pest Control and Guest House. These are the top stories this hour. In national developments, the St. Kitts Nevis Labour Party says the Boundaries Commission report is up in the air. No word on when it will be released. However, they plan to take action. Regionally, a joint select committee in Trinidad and Tobago is pondering how to address alarming increases in sexually transmitted infections in school children. Internationally, police are investigating a bombing in Pakistan which has killed at least 80 people. And in sport, West Indies all-rounder Marlon Samuels is cleared to bowl after a ban. We'll be back with the details in just a bit.
Was in 2011 and indicated that
Now for a look at the news developments in detail. On the matter of the Boundaries Commission report, the government seems to be hesitating indecisively at a crossroads to pursue or not to pursue. This is according to Labour Party chairperson Honourable Marcella Liebert. Speaking on KyssFM yesterday, former Prime Minister and Labour Party leader, the Right Honourable Dr. Denzil Douglas, dismissed the notion of the boundaries stipulated in the report, giving the Labour Party unfair advantage in any elections.
I believe I told the media personnel this morning that the boundaries as they are now from the Commission's report are fairer than the boundaries that we had our elections on. Because I think the Commission, having been tested and tried and guided entirely by the court, came up eventually with a report that was reflective of the constitutional requirement in every way. The number of inhabitants in each constituency, as part and parcel of the guidance from the Constitution, is near equal. It has taken into consideration the geographical disposition of some of the constituencies, the topography, etc., and it came up with a report that we never entirely said it was 100% for us. Can be. But we believe that after being in government for nearly 20 years, we had a duty to come up with something that was reflective of fairness and justice.
And the law?
And the law. And we went along with it. Of course, we had questions, but we went along with it. And so I made the statement this morning that whether or not it is fairer and better for us in the Labour Party is really not in question here. It is what we believe is the fair and just position with regard to the constituencies under which we will contest the election.
Ms. Libert explained that while in opposition, the Team Unity administration had opposed the Boundaries Commission report in court as they had several issues and objections with it. She said what remains to be seen is whether or not Team Unity will continue to pursue the matter or conveniently withdraw their objections from the court.
My understanding is that the matter is before the court. We had the report from the Boundaries Commission. The government, well, the opposition at the time, which is the current government, they took issue with it and challenged the report for the very same reasons they challenged the one before. You know, the bias of the chairman and not enough consultation, the same reasons. So it's like deja vu. And so the matter is before the court for that issue to be tried. The government, to me, would have to decide whether or not they want to pursue that court matter, whether they want to discontinue the court matter, as they seem to be suggesting, and that they will just discontinue it and then form their own thing. I am not sure that it's as easily done as it's been said, because they were very adamant. We went all up to the Privy Council that they wanted to challenge that matter. So it would really be, it'd be interesting to see if after all of the Privy Council and all of this, all they want to do now is take the matter out of the court, discontinue that particular matter. So as far as I'm aware, the matter is before the court. The matter is supposed to get a sort of agenda for trial of the matter to determine whether or not the case they're bringing, that there was some fault with the Boundaries report, holds. So again, I say they seem to be in a problem because they don't seem to know whether or not they want now to pursue the matter or whether they want to abandon the matter.
St. Kitts and Nevis was a no-show at the 28th intersessional meeting of the heads of government of the Caribbean Community, CARICOM, which will conclude in Ghana today. It's the first time in living memory outside a closely held general election that the Prime Minister of the Twin Island Federation, the Minister of Foreign Affairs, the Permanent Secretary or the Ambassador accredited to CARICOM did not attend a CARICOM Heads of Government meeting. There's been no statement from the Office of the Prime Minister, Dr. the Honorable Timothy Harris, regarding his absence or even a representative of the government of St. Kitts Nevis at the February 16th and 17th meeting. Heads of Government convened to discuss a wide range of issues critical to the development of the region, including correspondent banking. CARICOM has mounted an active advocacy initiative and has raised awareness among the United States, European Union, World Bank, International Monetary Fund and other parties in relation to the issue. Trans-border crime was also discussed at the two-day meeting, with the drafts of the arrest warrant treaty and return and sharing of assets examined by heads. Tourism in the region, the status of the CARICOM single market and economy, CARIFESTA 13, which Barbados will host in August this year, information and communication technologies for development and relations with the Dominican Republic were also tabled. Time was also spent discussing protocol for the amendment of the revised Treaty of Chaguaramas to incorporate the Council for National Security and Law Enforcement as an organ of the community and the CARICOM Implementation Agency for Crime and Security Impacts as an institution of the community. Regional leaders further sought to ratify decisions arising from the 37th regular meeting of the Conference of Heads of Government of CARICOM held in Guyana last year. There were also closed-door sessions to discuss regional security as well as border issues affecting Belize, Guatemala, and Guyana and Venezuela. In regional developments, Trinidad and Tobago, more children in both primary and secondary schools are having sex than ever before in the country's history, and many of them are contracting sexually transmitted diseases. Still, sex remains a taboo topic, especially where adults have to relate it to children. Sex education is included in the country's education curriculum, but the question being asked is it adequate? This was up for debate at a joint select committee which met to discuss the prevalence of STDs among school children. Alicia Boucher has the details.
The last survey-based report was in 2011 and indicated that a high percentage of children under the age of 18 were becoming sexually active.
Now, in one instance, percentage of students who ever had sexual intercourse, 27%. Right, then among students who ever had sexual intercourse, the percentage who had sexual intercourse for the first time before age 14 is 62%.
55% reported that they did not use a condom as of the last day they had intercourse. A survey was done in 2016 and the report is expected to be underway in March. But the Ministry of Health verifies between 2012 and 2015, nearly 200 persons within the ages of 15 and 19 years came in for treatment for gonorrhea, 38 for HIV, and 85 for syphilis, adding that in many cases they were contracted through older partners, including family members, and factored in consensual sex. But children a lot younger are also in that predicament.
According to the sex and age group of students in primary school who have been infected with HIV/AIDS, you have for 2016 2 students, male, 8 years and 11 years, and 3 females, 7 years, 9 years, and 10 years.
As it relates to sex ed in preschools and primary schools, children are taught based on a good touch, bad touch level.
We've been having some discussions, so we haven't made a decision yet whether in infusing it within the curriculum we may be losing some of the things that we want to teach, and whether there's a need for pulling it back out and doing it as a separate.
In secondary schools, Health and Family Life Education, HFLE, is included in the curriculum 2 periods a week on various components, where abstinence is presented as one option. The Education Ministry admits it is looking at some schools who have not implemented it as intended. Denominational schools have indicated that while they will include sex ed in their studies, it must be tweaked to suit religious beliefs. There have been complaints by teachers who feel they've not been adequately trained to deal with the issue. But the Ministry of Health says attempts to have doctors go into schools and educate both staff and students about STDs in children have been rejected.
We really face a lot of resistance from the schools and teachers and even from parents of children. Many of the parents of children felt that we are educating them too much rather than this is giving them good part of this education that is spoiling their children.
The JSE feels HFLE teachers should receive training from the Ministry of Health, which the Ministry of Education agrees to.
The Bahamas Chamber of Commerce and Employers Confederation has published its first ever State of the Economy report. According to the report, while medium-term growth for the country will be below average, long-term projections remain positive. We hear more in this report.
The Bahamas Chamber of Commerce and Employers Confederation hosted its first State of the Economy report at the Atlantis Paradise Island Resort today. The half-day forum examined issues impacting the economy and looked at workable solutions to address and correct the challenges faced. Among those addressing participants was Mission-Chief for the International Monetary Fund, Jarko Turunen. He told them that issues affecting the financial sectors continue to hamper economic growth, and as a result, it's projecting between 1 and 1.5% growth in the medium term. Overall, though, he says the country's economic outlook is positive. Governor of the Central Bank, John Roll, agreed.
We see some activity, including in big projects like the Bahamas. We see some positive signs, which should give a boost to growth next year and a few years after that.
We do expect that there's potentially an increase in the level of economic activity over the next 2 to 3 years, specifically related to this project coming on stream, and then afterwards the traditional factors will continue to play in terms of how hotels can manage increases in their room rates and in their occupancy rates to see even further growth in terms of the benefits to the economy.
Pleased with the level of participation and discussions, Chamber executives say in order for the country to see real change, the work continues and will require collaboration from the private and public sectors.
When we look at the 10 factors of the ease of doing business, the vast majority of them will require legislative change, and yes, that will involve the government, but a number of them are also private sector driven. When you talk about access to credit, when you talk about minority interests and some of these ones, they're going to be driven by private sector.
For us to move the economy forward, there has to be a private-public partnership, right? One that has already been developed very strongly between the Chamber and various aspects of the government, but it has to be where the private sector cannot expect the government to do what the private sector itself is not prepared to do.
In international developments, Pakistani officials say at least 40 suspected fighters have been killed in country-wide raids following a bombing of Sufi shrine in which 80 people died. Another 200 were injured in an explosion in Sherwan, located in the Sindh province.
Relatives struggling to console the distraught mother of Zishan Ali, a teenager killed in a blast at a Sufi shrine in Pakistan.
He only wanted to pay his respects at the shrine. Evil people had a bomb planted there. He was very young. He was in 7th grade. I raised him like my own child, as I don't have any children. He was my child, and they took him from me. God will punish them.
Mobile phone pictures show crowds outside the shrine at Sahwan. Thursday is a sacred day for prayer in Pakistan. Then, this. More phone pictures, this time showing chaos and terror inside. The blast shattered parts of the ceiling and hurled debris across the floor.
The explosion happened when I was just outside the shrine. Everyone was running and asking for help. It was a very loud sound, as if a huge building had fallen down. When I entered, everyone was crying and bloody.
Medical facilities in Sahwan are limited. Some of the injured and dead had to be transported by road to the nearest main hospital about 130 kilometers away. Others were taken by military plane. ISIL has claimed responsibility, although it's thought the attack may have been carried out by local armed groups.
This is a big tragedy, specifically for residents of Sindh province. Sindh is the land of peaceful Sufi saints. There is no room for acts like terrorism here.
The government has vowed to punish those responsible. The people in Sindh province are demanding to know why there is so little security at the shrine. Investigators are trying to piece together what happened. As Zihan's devastated family deals with its grief.
In Peru, a number of politicians face accusations of accepting bribes from a Brazilian construction firm. The scandal involves several South American countries. Mariana Sanchez reports from Peru's capital, Lima, where thousands were marching in protest.
Thousands of Peruvians march in the capital. They're furious. They call politicians miserable. Blue-collar delinquents.
This is abuse. We make miserable salaries. How is it possible that officials fill up their pockets?
The Brazilian construction giant Odebrecht says it paid Peruvian officials $29 million in bribes to win highway, irrigation and metro projects, among other endeavors between 2005 and 2014.
Every incoming government looks for power only to rob the people's wealth.
These protesters say they are shocked by the level of corruption. 3 former presidents, 8 former ministers and other officials implicated or suspected of having illegally dealt with Brazilian construction companies. The scandal forced the cancellation of a $5 billion natural gas pipeline that alone slowed Peru's economic growth by 1 percentage point.
These protesters say they've lost their trust in government officials and they're demanding the judiciary to prosecute all involved in the corruption scandal.
On Thursday, former President Alan Garcia testified in a parallel investigation in Peru. 4 people have been jailed, including 2 officials and a vice minister from his government. But Garcia says he's not afraid.
No one can say there wasn't corruption. Corrupt people always filter into governments and take advantage of situations.
The government issued an international arrest warrant for former President Alejandro Toledo for peddling and money laundering. Odebrecht says it paid him $20 million in bribes. Toledo denies wrongdoing. And now former President Ollanta Humala is to testify on Friday. President Pedro Pablo Kuczynski said he signed executive measures to bar corrupt officials and companies from working for the government. But even Kuczynski will be called to testify. A recent opinion poll says 80% of Peruvians say all politicians are corrupt. Protesters here say they're still shocked, though, at the way crime in office continues to pay.
And in sport, West Indies all-rounder Marlon Samuels has been cleared to bowl after serving a 12-month ban for illegal action. The off-spinner 36 was banned in December 2015 after being reported during a test against Sri Lanka. Samuels' remodeled action was cleared after testing at Loughborough University showed his elbow extension was within the permitted 15 degrees. He's taken 41 test wickets and 85 in one-day internationals, as well as 19 in 2020 internationals. Samuels was first banned from bowling in 2008 and continued in the West Indies side as a batsman before being cleared to bowl again in 2011. However, he was banned from bowling his quicker deliveries in 2013 after being reported in a test against India. That item brings us to the end of the SKN News Now Morning Edition, brought to you by Glenbarrow Pest Control and Guest House. I'm Ebony Brandon. Tune in this evening at 5:45 when Leslie Joseph gives you this evening's presentation of the SKN News Now Evening Edition. Goodbye.
Glenbarrow's International Pest Control provides a comprehensive approach for a pest-free environment for both residential and commercial clients. Our services include lawn spraying and fungus control services to ensure the safety of your family and pets, commercial pest and rodent control, pre-construction soil treatment, subterranean termite control, and tent fumigation. Call Glenbarrow's International Pest Control at 465-2935 or 469-5294. Glenbarrow's International Pest Control, setting new standards in pest control.